Welcome to Ignore the Machine Live. I'm Bradley J. A reminder, quickly, if you want to see some travel videos, including Amtrak travel videos, go to Bradley J Travel on YouTube. Search Bradley J Travel on YouTube. I'm here to talk to you about the pros and cons of long-haul Amtrak travel. I am extremely experienced at the low end of Amtrak travel. I'm not experienced at the fancy sleeper car version of that because that is really expensive, especially if you're alone. I'll explain it all. So first, know that international travel now is flying, the airlines, the delays, the expense, the airfares, the hotel. It's a terrible time to travel internationally. It's actually a terrible time to travel anywhere that needs a hotel. What hotels that used to cost $150 are now like $400, and it happened kind of overnight because people went nuts after pandemic with an overreaction of getting away, I guess. And a lot of people don't work now. They got sick of working, so they have time to travel, and it causes a crazy demand. I hope they build more hotels so the demand goes down. Now, I'm going to talk to you about Amtrak long-haul travel and whether it might be an option for you. Now, the only way to avoid the hotel cost is to just go on a whole long-haul trip, not get off, just go the whole way. Now, you can have a couple choices. You can do the sleeper car or some version thereof, or you can rough it like I did. It's shocking to me how many of these Amtrak trips I've been on. And each time I think, never again. But let me count them. The first one I think was the Southwest Chief, because I remember that name, Southwest Chief, because I liked trains as a kid. I had a book that had a picture of this engine, the Southwest Chief. And I chose that one because it seemed like it was go through the west and the desert and all those geographic formations that I love. So I took it. And what I did then was fly to Chicago and take it from Union Station. But that adds expense, I think. And flights are a problem now. Flying is a real problem. So you could go all the way from Boston. Now things change. Things get sexier after Chicago. The first part will be kind of a grind. But after that, it gets better. So either way, let's just start from the Chicago part. Get there any way you want. You have options. From Chicago, it's Union Station, which is a beautiful place. You can go to Seattle, which is called the Empire Builder. I've done that twice. Once that way and once back. Then there's the... what's the one that goes to San Francisco? Oh, the Zephyr. San Francisco Zephyr. That is a long one. San Francisco is a little further away. And then there's the Southwest Chief, which goes to Los Angeles. Then there's another one. It's also long. It goes from New Orleans to Los Angeles. That is called the Sunset Limited. Then there's another one. If you only want to spend one night, you got to fly, of course. But if you do it like I do, you wouldn't have to pay for a hotel. That's the Coast Starlight, which goes from Seattle or Portland, I think. Seattle anyway, to Los Angeles. That's a one-nighter. And that's nice. One note, San Francisco's become a mess now. I've been, a bunch of times. There was one year where I traveled domestically a lot. It's a mess. It's sad. People living in the streets. It's awful. I'm very fortunate. In Boston, we don't have that problem. But you actually get nervous walking along in San Francisco. People jumping out of the doorways asking for money. It's in Portland. There's a whole encampment, a huge encampment of homeless people. And it's not, I'm not going to get into all that, but it's not safe. It is actually not safe. So back to what it's like on the Amtrak travel. Well, I'm just going to tell you my experience. And I'll pick, well, they're all the, I do them all the same. If I go to, say, New Orleans, I have to stay one night because the train from there leaves at 9 a.m. and I can't get there early enough to not stay over. So that's a bummer. Got to stay in a hotel one night. Although it is New Orleans, and if you go at the right time, you probably can get an okay hotel. Sunset Limited goes all the way from New Orleans to Los Angeles. It is a long trip. It stops only one time for 4 hours. I mean, it stops only one time, really. You can get off for one time in San Antonio. No. Yes, San Antonio. For 4 hours. And I was able to go walk over and see the Alamo, which was kind of fun. So there are some things that are pretty routine. You get to the station. One thing that Amtrak is much better about than the airlines is cancellation and changing and change fees and stuff. They're much better about that. They're much more flexible. The cars are double-decker cars. On the bottom is a bathroom and some seats. A lot of extremely overweight people who are not able to get up the stairs. There's some kind of skinny stairs to get up the second floor. Will choose to sit on the bottom floor. They never get up into the viewing car because they can't. And there's a luggage area down there, and then there's, as I say, another end of it has a bathroom area, a larger bathroom area than on top. On the top level are seats, and there is a dining car. How is the food in the dining car? I will get to that as much as I can. Now, there is an observation car, I mean, when you get to west of Chicago. And there's an observation car, right away in Los Angeles, right out of the gate in New Orleans. I don't know if there's an observation car from Boston to Chicago because I've never done that part. But in every train I've been in, there is a car that is a dining car. And there's also an observation car. In the observation car, you have the upper level is observation. The lower level is a snack bar kind of place where they have microwave burgers, wine, beer, bagels, awful bagels, but when you're hungry, they'll do. And milk, juice, cereal. So in the morning, I'd get a coffee. In the morning, I'd go down and get a coffee and some Special K and some milk. So let's walk through this. Oh, also the dining car. I believe if you get a sleeper car, your meals are included in the dining car. I never went to the dining car because I was fine with the snack car. And I just couldn't imagine how good the food would be in the dining car. I was alone. It didn't seem worth it to me. I looked at the menu and I'm like, I'm happy with the snack car. I'm happy with the Angus burger, which you microwave. I was alone on all these, by the way. Never travel with anybody. Why is that? Why is that? I guess nobody wants to go. So it would go like this. I'd get up early in the morning. I'd probably take a 9 o'clock flight to Chicago, which lasts 2 hours. Then get right on the train, the elevated train, and go to the Union Station. And in time to leave by 2. The one I went on Chicago, it seems like they left at 2. They left at 2. Leaved. And I would go to a nearby CVS. The CVS's in Chicago have like a whole grocery store. So I would get some food supplies, some, snack bars, some fruit, some vegetables, so I'd be able to just have something stuff to munch on in the seat. And you get on, and you do get treated kind of like cattle when you're in a regular seat. It's like, okay, get over here, do all this, get in that line, Here's your seat. And you pray. You pray. Pray. There's no one in the seat beside you, because it's just better to have your own, seat beside you, mostly because at night, if that's the case, you can sleep. You have two seats. You can put them both back. The leg rests come up, and you have an almost bed, a kind of bed. The good news is the seats are deluxe. They're like wicked roomy and spacious. They even have, when you can kick back, and they have a footrest that comes up, and your seat tips back, and you can veg. Now, it's a lot nicer to veg without a stranger next to you. I will get it. But it's kind of interesting, because in your life, usually you have stuff you got to do. On the train, you do not. You are forced to kind of relax. There's nothing you can do. And if there's some problem at home, there's nothing you can do about it. In many cases, you can't even be notified because there's no phone reception. And no, at the time, the Wi-Fi, there was no real Wi-Fi on there. Maybe there is now, maybe not. They might be, though. But it might be like the Wi-Fi on the plane. Anyway, so you go to the station, you get there early, they get over here, you line up, check your ticket, they assign you a seat stamp, and you pray there's no one beside you. And you go out and you get on, and everybody's kind of tentative. It's a bunch of people together who don't know each other, and who knows who's sitting beside you, in front of you. Is it going to be a crying baby, or is it going to be great? Train pulls out. And you think, okay, here we go. Wow, we're going to go 2,000 miles on a train. I'm not getting off. I'm going to see the country. And the way I go, it's cheap. Just getting a seat for a long haul is cheap. Happy Sunday, Bradley says. Reagan, how you doing? We'll get to the food in the dining car, but I didn't, as I mentioned, I told you, I didn't eat it, but people said it was okay. People said it was good. Good is relative. So let's get back to what it feels like. You pull out of Chicago, and nobody's talking to each other. Everybody's insular. Nobody's convivial. And you just kind of think, okay, here we go. It's like this. You're wondering what it's going to be like. The train moves nicely. It moves silently out the window. You got your comfortable seat. Maybe the car is kind of empty. Maybe it's packed full. It's a crapshoot. I'll tell you about taking video later. Some tricks. One thing that's really fun is to look at every little stop. Because they stop at a bunch of places, but not long enough to get off. Like, not even long enough for people who smoke to smoke a cigarette. It's just stop, get on, go. Leaving Chicago is boring at first because it's just suburbs. Leaving New Orleans, that's cool right away because you're going through swamps. That's cool right away. And leaving, if you're going Seattle down south, leaving Seattle right away is cool because there's a lot of water, there's some sort of bay. And then that evening you go through these mountains. Anyway, you're getting the feel of it, rolling along, and you realize, I can relax. I can't do anything. I can just veg. There's no crime in vegging. You just watch the country go by. You don't have to do anything. You are sightseeing without moving. You are sightseeing from an easy chair. You are seeing the country, not walking, not driving, not sweating. You're locked in. No decisions to make. None. Nobody talks to each other for the whole first night. And in my case, it's like, okay, it's getting dark. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to figure out how to sleep. Is there somebody beside me? That's going to suck. If there's nobody beside me, that's a no-brainer. Kick back, put both chairs all the way back. You don't have a complete flat bed that you can do all right. And I took a sleeping bag, and that was a good idea. It was a lightweight down sleeping bag. And that helped out 2 ways. It helped out in the seat, but if you're hardcore, and this is a secret nobody will tell you. I don't know about now, but every trip I've taken, and this is only for the hardcore, every trip I've taken, I managed to spend the night, if I wanted to, in the observation car. And you think, oh, yeah, you can sleep on the seats there. Well, not really, because they've designed it so there's 2 seats that way and then 1 that way. So it's crooked. It's like a curve. You'd think you might be able to sleep there, not unless you're a kid. Try it. It's bad. But there's like 18 inches between that seat, the seats that face sideways out the window, and the wall. About 18 inches. So many people can put down a sleeping bag and lay down there. Are you going to sleep? Probably not much. If you have some sort of sleeping pill that you take it. And if you drink alcohol's not good for sleep in general, but to calm down enough, just a glass of wine, or they have these little bottles. If you may not be able to sleep till 2 a.m. and you make up when the sun comes up at 5. It's not about sleep. It's about saving $1,000 for 2 nights of toughing it. I saved like $800, $900 by not sleeping in a sleeping car. And it's brutal at night. In the dining car, there'll be people playing games, like maybe all night, or most late into the night. Poker or checkers or whatever. Some people talking. Some people will be drinking and talking loudly. But they let you stay there all night. And that's the time when people might start to chat a little bit, because you get lonesome. People have been alone for a few hours. They might start to chat. They get alone. They get lonesome, and they get a little, wine in them, and they start to chat. So that's that. If you're in your seat beside somebody, you can try to sleep there like that. Can you sleep on your back? I can't. Plus, you'll be snoring, and there'll be other people snoring. So there you go. You sleep the best you can. You get tired enough, you're going to sleep. Is it pleasant? No, but think of the savings, and you're seeing the country. It's weird to be in this fuzzy half sleep and stop at these stops. Like the train goes, and you wake up and kind of peek out the window. Dodge City. Really? Lincoln, Nebraska. You just look out, and these are all these places that you've heard of, and this is what it looks like, the train station anyway. There was one place in Nebraska that had a college football stadium. It was bigger than Foxborough. It was massive. Anyway, you wake up in the morning, and at least me, I feel fantastic. Have my coffee, think I made it through the night. The sun, depending on where you are, if you're in the desert, the sun starts to peep up over the desert, and you're motoring, and you have some coffee and a crappy bagel. It tastes great because you're hungry, and you're saving money and seeing the country. It's brutal, but you'll have good memories. Then on the second day, people start to talk, and you will start to meet people that you would never meet in a million years. Never. And we all live in our bubbles. People in the West live in their bubble. People in the South live in their bubble. We we liberals here in the East live in our bubble. But the bubbles collide down there, or the bubbles interact. the bubbles burst, and all of a sudden, you're sitting beside some super duper conservative person who's a roughneck on an oil rig, and you're talking to them, and they're talking to you out of necessity because that's who's there to talk to. I talked to one of those persons. I talked to a guy whose job was to x-ray oil rigs to make sure they weren't broken from fracking. And another guy who was a dude ranch guy from Montana with a big giant hat. Even college students will talk to you that would never otherwise talk to you because, they're going down the road. A lot of normality is suspended, and people will interact with people they wouldn't normally. Let's just check. Amtrak is an amazing way to see the Eastern Corridor. I've never done that. I've never done the Eastern Corridor. Bob also says it's an amazing way. Oh, he said this. That's the same one. Bridge between Mass and Connecticut is way beyond replacement time. It causes too many delays. Yeah, I've gotten burned on the Amtrak to New York and ended up having to take a bus. Is there decent fresh airflow in the cabin? Reagan, good question. And I would have to say the answer is yes, that there is. It certainly feels, even when the place is, when it's full, more roomy than an airplane. And you have a giant window. Get a window seat, it's not that hard. One thing that I detest is the way that Amtrak conductors treat you. I'm sure it's because they deal with a lot of a-holes and a lot of people, but they treat you like cattle. That's just my expression. They want to pack everybody together. They want you to be sitting beside each other. They don't want everybody spread out because the next stop is going to have some more people, and they want them to get in, plus they have certain parts of cars designated to go to certain areas. Sometimes you have to be careful because they'll drop off a car, and if you don't want to stop there, you got to make sure you're in your correct seat. But you can kind of like search around and see if there's an open seat until somebody busts you and makes you move. And I spent all my time in the car, the observation car, because of the talk, because you can drink, you can have some beer or some wine. But every once in a while, I do go back to my seat and just completely veg. You will get to see all kinds of human behavior. Different people grew up different ways, treat their children differently, let them run wild, run up and down the aisles. There's that. You do run into different beliefs about bringing up kids, and it's really irritating when somebody is a bad parent with irritating kids. There you go. That's a bummer. The food. So back to the food. It's fun to go down into the snack car on the bottom below the observation car and get, as I say, a coffee, a beer, a soda, a juice. And then across the car from that are some tables. Maybe 4 tables, 3, 4, 5 tables. And it seemed like no one was ever in those tables. They would go back up to the observation car. For me, that was a haven down there because I kind of like being alone as much as possible. And a couple people come through and you talk to them, but I like a few people, not a bunch of people. So that it's kind of secret area on the first floor of the observation car across from the snack bar. And the snack bar was not a ripoff, I found. Expensive, yeah, but not crazy. Then the second night comes. And by the way, you're whipping through the country. You get used to it. You can just see it roll by. It rolls on and on. It doesn't stop. It's huge. On and on and on and on. And the whistle whistles, and you're sitting in your seat vegging out. And you think, I should do something. No, you don't have to. You can completely veg. You open your eyes, peek out at the scenery for a while. It's pretty fantastic, whether it's corn or desert or like the big sky country of Wyoming, fields. And then the second night comes, and everybody is much more, you kind of know people. You've talked to a bunch of people. You talk to them again. You hang out. You might want to, play a card game with somebody. Hang out. But you got to remember, you're seeing the country cheap. You're not driving. You're not paying for gas. You don't have the stress of driving, and you can enjoy a beverage, an alcoholic beverage, while you're traveling, which is something. Second night comes, and that's nice. You kind of know you can make it through the night because you did it once. And once again, you try to grab some sleep. In the middle of the night, you're half in and half out of sleep, going through these weird stops. And on this train, you're going over the mountain passes, and you're going through the desert and through valleys where rivers are that are quite spectacular. I like the desert. I don't know why I like the desert so much. One surprise was Texas. While the politics of Texas are a problem for me, generally, the geography, I dig. It's funny, when you get into Texas, a lot of you know this. If you're coming from Louisiana, when you get into Texas, the first part of Texas looks kind of like Louisiana. And gradually it doesn't. But when you get to West Texas, that has some very weird geographical formations that it's cool to see. And then at the second morning, once again, you wake up, you have your coffee, you think, I can do this. It's a challenge. It's not easy. But you're approaching your home port, your destination. And really the journey is the destination in this, so the destination means nothing. It just means you're going to go home. But if you're going to Los Angeles, which a lot of the long hauls do, you go to Union Station, which is a national treasure, a deco national treasure. You should definitely spend a little time there when you get there. Maybe get some breakfast and hang out. And take some photos of that. And then, if I have a friend in Los Angeles that's there at the time, I will have arranged to meet me at the station. We'll go get some breakfast or something. And maybe I'll stay at their house one night, but maybe I'll just go to the airport because I don't care about Los Angeles. If somebody I want to hang around with, okay. But Los Angeles is just another city. I've just seen the whole country. I would be bored by Los Angeles. So there is a bus that takes you all the way from Union Station to the airport. Right nearby, you can walk to it. At least there used to be. Very reasonable, a few bucks. And if you've scheduled your flights right, you can go right to the airport and come right home. The journey is the destination. That's usually a cliche, but in this case, it's completely true. And you really feel like you did something. Say, wow, I just saw a bunch of stuff, and I met some new people, had some new experiences. You know when you go hiking or camping, right? Think of it as camping on wheels. It's just like camping. There are not a lot of creature comforts. It's roughing it, but the payoffs are pretty good. And camping's cheap, and so is, if you do it my way, these trains are cheap. They used to be. And so, you can just get off the train and come home. There's no point in staying in Los Angeles. If you're going from Los Angeles to New Orleans, well, then you are crazy not to stay in New Orleans for a night. Maximum two nights in New Orleans is plenty. And I've gone just a bunch for just one night. I know everything I want to do. Get there at 2 in the afternoon. I can have it all wrapped up by 2 in the morning and be ready to come home the next day. Do I recommend it? Yeah, if you're willing to rough it. It's a tremendous deal for a memorable experience. Not a pleasant. It's not creature comfort-wise in the night. It's brutal unless you get the sleeper car. Now, I have looked into the sleeper cars, the various incarnations of them, and they don't look that good. If I was going with somebody and split the costs, I'd probably do it. But going alone, I don't. So you might want to look into the options. I'm sure the prices change for these sleeper cars. You can go on YouTube, actually, and really get a good idea of these cars. But I mean, the sleeper room, the roomette. One's called a roomette, one's called a bedroom, another called a cruchette or something like that. I guess you can lay down. If laying down is worth $400 a night for you, okay. And, oh yeah, by the way, you do get your meals free with some incarnations of that. So that does mitigate the cost some, actually. Maybe someday I'll splurge and do that. I don't want to poo-poo it. I was just cheap. No, actually, I was frugal because I tip very well. Let's take a look at some of the questions. We already got this. Rudolph. Do they change conductors along the way? Good. That's a good question. I think not much. I don't think so. Not a whole lot. I remember the same people all the way. Certainly they don't change them at some of these whistle stops. And if they stop to change engines like they do in San Antonio and take out the trash, maybe there, but maybe not. I don't feel like they did that a lot. Please send radio call NOS. NOS. Please send radio call NOS. You are now on and what? Oh. And what? Something you are on and what hours of the day? I'm not on terrestrial radio at all. Well, actually, that's not true. I do a radio show at WZBC, Charlotte. Radio show at WZBC, Newton. It's 90.3. Unless you live within, I don't know, 10 miles of there, you probably won't get it. But if you're in Boston, you can get it. And you can listen on the stream on the website. You go to WZBC and hit stream or listen, and you can listen on your computer, which is what I do. And the show is 2 to 4 this summer, 2 to 4 on Fridays. But if the chances are you're not going to like the music, Charlotte. Most people don't like the music I play. It's music for few. For the few, it's not mainstream. It's rock, but it's dark kind of rock. It's called post-punk. The show is called Ignore the Machine. If you want to hear Ignore the Machine at any time, go to Mixcloud and follow me there at Mixcloud. Mixcloud, I love. I go for walks. I listen to my own show on Mixcloud. Since I listen to my own show over and over, I'm careful not to play any duds. And as a matter of fact, this last Friday's show, which you can hear on Mixcloud, was my top 3 radio shows I've done in my life. Out of all the thousands and thousands of music shows, thousands, maybe tens of thousands, this is one of my top 3. And there you go. I always appreciate Boston Bob. He's always there for me. Thank you very much. And he always has a lot of good feedback and stuff. Anything else? No, that's good. So I just wanted to check in and maintain a presence here, talk about this. So if you want something different to do and you want it to not cost much, like say you're on a fixed income, right? And you can't afford to go to Europe. And most people can't now because of the airfares are out of sight, obscene. This might be a good way for you to see the country. Also, the train appeals to a number of other groups. This is interesting and true. It appeals to, as I say, obese folks who simply are too obese to fly. It appeals to people with a lot of luggage. Say you're moving and you don't want to pay $1 million for luggage on an airline. If you got a lot of luggage, some people like to do that. You probably pay extra for extra luggage, but not as much. People who have a physical issue so that they can't fly also take the train. Maybe you have some sort of vascular issue where some sort of issue where air pressure change is bad, is unhealthy for you or dangerous for you, then you also take the train. If you're too mentally ill to fly, you take the train. Seriously. A lot of people that, I'm not talking about fear of flying. I'm talking about if you have a real issue. I think some people choose the train. And also, medium hop people like the train. Say you live in the Midwest, right? Where it's a gazillion miles between big airports, and let's say it's not like here, but you might have to go 3 states away. That's a good option for the train too. You might not want to pay to fly. The schedule might not work for you. So the medium hop people, like college students, I'm going off to college in the next state. They take the train as well. Anything else? Let me just tell you one story. There are plenty of weird folks on the train. They're on the planes too, but in planes you get in trouble if you kind of act out. There was this one guy. I've told the story before, but you haven't heard it. There was this one guy on the Starlight Coast, and we're traveling down through California. It's really nice. Really nice. Comfortable. Beautiful weather. You go see all the farming areas and all the irrigation going on. And he's burping. Belching. Big, loud belches. It seemed on purpose. Like, brah. Loudly and on purpose. Like, this is some sort of punk thing he does. I don't know. But it got unbearable. And so at least I was then, and probably would again. I walked over and I said, "What is your major malfunction, man? Stop it." And he got all like, "Ooh." He stopped it. And then you know what happened? He came over and he wanted to be my friend. It turns out, looks like, that he just wanted boundaries. And his parents had given him no boundaries and nobody gave him any boundaries, and he just wanted boundaries. He respected someone that would tell him to shut the F up. I didn't say the F. I just said, stop it. And in a loud voice. And yeah, you could probably get shot or punched out, but maybe not. And in fact, he wanted to come hang out. He wanted to be my friend. He came over and sat down, followed me around the whole time. I guess it's a good place to start. Oh, there's one other thing. It is really important, speaking of bubbles, I spoke about this a little bit, for everybody to get out of their political bubble. I don't know if you've ever been to Wyoming, but if you go there, or places like that, you start to understand why they think the people in Boston are a bunch of left-wing fruitcakes. We think this is normal. We think we're the decent people. We think we're the good ones. And in general, I agree. But if you go down there and you interact with these people, just like in any other situation, whether it be different culture, different religion, whatever, the hate does melt away some. Because you see, well, this seems like an okay guy. I mean, yeah, I don't agree with his political view on that or that. But you do make a human connection that in some ways transcends the political. And so you will be a little more understanding and a little more forgiving of, from here, you'll be more forgiving of right-wing, what you perceive to be madness. And in many cases it is. I mean, the right-wing people act the way they do in a lot of cases because they think that we're disgusting, wimpy, whiny, lazy people. Can't fend for ourselves. Want the government to do everything. Where they out there, they have to kind of DIY. You got to have a gun out there. I would have a bunch of guns out there. They're tools. Guns are tools. You need to defend yourself. I mean, there are bears and stuff, but mostly it's defending yourself. And you can get out of your bubble politically on the train. And hopefully, if you're a decent human being, that a little of that will rub off on some person that is extreme right wing, some Matt Gaetz fan. You just don't talk about politics. They'll just see that you're not a complete J off, and that maybe you do have some things in common. You compliment each other on this or that. So there you go. Overall, it's a great way. Oh, the final thing. It's so fast. You can do this whole trip without taking a bunch of days off. Okay? Let's say you have a long weekend. Maybe you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Well, you can even do it in less than that. Let's say it's Friday morning you wake up. You go to the airport, if you're going to go fly the first leg to Chicago. Get there by 9, you get on the train by 2, you're going. So that's just still on the same first day. First day, you get to the first night. Second day is Saturday. You go all Saturday. And Sunday, you're there in the morning. You could take a red eye back from Los Angeles Sunday night. So that's leave Friday morning and come back Sunday night. Maybe you get there early in the morning, Monday morning. You just went across the country in 3+ days, including the flights. So you might want to go to Amtrak and check the prices. It is really crowded now, so this is not the best time to go. The downside of waiting till winter is it gets dark, and something you need to think about. Winter would be fantastic, a fantastic time to go. But if it gets dark at 4, you're missing a lot of stuff. Instead of it getting dark at 9, you're missing 5. You're going in the dark 5 hours. So the trick is to, either get lucky in the summer or find some time that's in the happy medium there. You might get lucky in the summer. I don't know. People shy away from Amtrak. So you might get lucky. But you can call them up and ask. Let's see. Reagan. Oh, Charlotte Braun. Oh, I already did Charlotte's comment. Thanks for the info. Quality time well spent. The segment. Please share it. Yes, share it. That's it. Remember to see the travel videos. There's a brand new Spain video of this really cool Bodega Guzman tapas place in Cordoba, Spain, my favorite town in Spain. And there will be more Spain videos. And you'll actually get to see Shannon. Shannon does the talking about the food and stuff on camera. So the mysterious Shannon comes out of her hiding, and you can see her. She does a great job, too. So that's Bradley J. Travel. You got it, Charlotte? Bob knows. Bob's there. Charlotte, why don't you go to YouTube and search Bradley J. Travel? And if anyone does not have a YouTube account, you're nuts. They're free. YouTube is the best. You can tune out regular junk TV and really watch only what you want to watch. And you can subscribe to my channel, Bradley J. Travel. Over 100, I got the hiccups. Like 125 quality travel videos. Oh, and in the Cordoba video, you see a celebrity walk by who was in the restaurant. That's a little tease. I know you're going to want to see this. It's cool. Who is the celebrity in the video? Don't say it. Bob, you probably know. Bob, always a pleasure. Boston Bob, it's good to see that you're doing so well during the pandemic. Bob was a lot of work like so many, but he he remained upbeat, and he got a job right away. He was not out of work that long, and he's back in the transpo business that he loves so much. That's it. I've been talking for 45 minutes now. Do me a favor and share this, and do me a favor and follow and subscribe my stuff wherever you can if you want to help out. I never ask for money. I never say send me money on Patreon. Just show me some love by subscribing to the YouTube channel, and it's high quality. You get sick of same old TV. You think, what should I watch on TV? YouTube, my channel. I think you'll find it pleasant. A nice background for the daytime too. So you're puttering around doing chores instead of having CNN, which is by the way turned to crap, on, or any of those news channels. Give yourself a break, reduce your stress, and just put on Bradley J Travel all day long in the background. Just let them run. Bye now. Boy, did I talk a lot, right?